Welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're going to take a look at doing this one using AutoCAD 3D. Now if you want to check out some videos where I did this in the 2D drafting world, you can go ahead and take a look at those videos. I think I broke it down one of the videos as an isometric and one of them as a drawing that you kind of see here. So if you use both of those videos and put them together, you will have the drawing that you see on the screen now. But what we're going to do in this one is that we're going to create this model, and then we'll create the drawing for it, and you will see that it's a lot easier if you do the 3D modeling. Now I will explain some things along the way, so let's go ahead and get to the intro and then we'll break it down here in a second. Alright, so what I want you to take notice of is some of these lines that you're seeing here. And you can take a look at this line, for example, here. You can see that it kind of extends over, and excuse my bad drawing there over the screen. But you can see that this line extends and it doesn't come off really sharp. What it's actually showing is that this fillet that you're seeing here. We're going to see that as we go through here and create this model, is that we have some kind of control options that we can look at on these tangential edges and these interfering edges, but we can't control it all the way. So you remember that when we created this drawing in 2D AutoCAD or even the isometric, we had a little bit more control because yes, we can delete lines, we can, hide them or put them on whatever layer we want. But when we get to the 3D portion, you're going to see that that's going to be a major problem for us, okay? So I will make sure that I will let you know when we especially get to looking at these 3Ds as well as this drawing here. All right. You can also see some of the other things that are happening here. We're going to have to address how we want these center lines to appear. So we're going to take a look at that when we get across that bridge. So enough of me rambling on about this stuff. Let's go ahead and jump over to AutoCAD and get started. So here in AutoCAD, you'll notice that one of the first things that I probably need to do, and I'm going to purposely not do it in this video, is that I'm not going to change the ribbon at the top quite yet. I'll save that for a little bit later as we go through, because most of the time when people are creating these drawings, they're using the 2D part of it, and then when we got to get to something that's really important or we're looking for a certain command, that's when we'll switch over to the other ribbon. But as far as what we need, we can go ahead and use this ribbon here, and this will work just totally fine for us, because remember, one of the shortcuts that you can always use is if you start spelling out the command, or if you know the command that you want to use, it's a lot easier to come up with and find exactly what command you're looking for just by spelling it out. So I'm going to purposely leave my ribbon the way it is right now. I will go ahead and turn the ortho on right now. Some of the other things we're going to do, let's go ahead and see what running O-snaps that I do have on. And I will turn on the quadrant one. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn this pesky grid off because I don't like using it. Alright, so that should be everything that I need. And then we're going to start off by drawing this almost like we're doing it in AutoCAD 2D. Alright, so we're going to start off with some circles. And I'll go ahead and start with a circle center diameter here. And I'll go ahead and place it here. And we'll give it a diameter of 60. Alright, super big. I'm just going to double click the middle mouse button, or we can hit the zoom extents here and then kind of scroll back a little bit. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and copy this down, right? So I'm just going to go to copy. And I want to copy this line going down a distance of 100. Let's go escape here. Let's go ahead and copy this again. This time I'm going to click a base point here. I'll go this direction, 100, and then I'll go this direction, 100. Alright, let's go ahead and erase this part here. And now we have to decide how we want to create and get these tangential lines on the outside of this. Now, old way of doing this is we could always go to line, and then we could shift and right click and go to tangent. Select the tangency here, shift right click again and go to tangent, and go here. Another quicker way of approaching this, and I don't know if it's quicker, you'll be the one that kind of determines that, but if you want to create, a polyline, so I'll just go with a polyline, which is PL, and then I'll go from that center to this center to here, and then see to close. And now all I have to do is offset this, whatever the radius is. So if I go to offset, And if I don't know that radius or I don't feel like looking at the drawing and calculating it, I can always go from this center to this quadrant, and that will select the radius for me. And I can click here, going to the outside. All right, let's go ahead and delete that on the inside. And then we're just going to use the trim command and trim off these portions here. All right, let's go ahead and get rid of this part on the inside as well. All right, and remember, we're going to go ahead and join this together. That's one of our secret rules that we have to use anytime we're doing AutoCAD 3D. I'm just going to do a quick verification on this by selecting it, right-clicking, and going down to the properties. And then when my properties window here appears, I want to make sure when it says closed here at the bottom, it does say yes. So that's what I want to see there. I am totally happy with that. Let's go back to the circle command. So I'm just going to go C, enter this time. I'll go and find the center. Let's click the center here, and then go to that quadrant. Go back to the circle command. So C, enter. Go and find the diameter here. So once I find the center, then I'll select diameter. And this one does have a diameter of 30. All right, so I'm just going to take this and then I'm just going to copy it in multiple locations. So I'm just going to take it from there, go find the center here, and then I'll place one here and here. All right, so that's about most that I need for this drawing, right? That's about 80 to 85% of this drawing completed. Now we need to work on that kind of heel part here at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is just going to start off with drawing a line going straight across. Doesn't matter the distance. I'm not using it for anything other than to create the top there. All right, I'm going to select this line. I'll choose the copy option. So copy from here. And I know that this line goes from here. I pick the base point. We're going to go up a distance of 20, enter, and then 30, enter. All right. So what that's going to do is get me the overall length of this. Now, I don't think I needed that 31 there, but, you know, just kind of one of those habit things. And if I do need it, I will place it there. Let's go ahead and place a line from this bottom midpoint. And it doesn't look like midpoint is one of my running O snaps here. Let's go ahead and make sure I have that turned on. Then I'll go from that midpoint going up a distance of 49.8, right? Now, that's going to get me to the center. So I'll go ahead and create a circle here with a radius of 20. And we're going to create another circle with a diameter of 30. Okay, everything is looking good. Let's go ahead and put a line going down from here. And another one of my running O snaps I usually like to have turned on. Seems like it's not on now. It's perpendicular. That way I can come straight down from here and do the exact same thing on the other side here. So from that quadrant to where it's perpendiculars. Now I can get rid of a lot of these lines here. Let's go ahead and do some trimming here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that on each side, as well as this portion here. All right, let's also remember our golden rule here is that we want to make sure that we're going to join this stuff together. So I'm just going to highlight all of this and hit J, enter. And it will omit that circle for me. So you can see down here on the bottom, it says 4 objects was converted to a polyline and 1 was discarded. Well, it's going to be that circle. Once again, let's go ahead and verify that that is a closed polyline, which it does tell me that, yes, it is closed. All right. Now I have everything that I need to go ahead and create this 3D, right? I'm just going to hit here on my view cube here, and it's going to rotate it to the side. This kind of put it in a 3-dimensional mode here. Let's go ahead and turn this message off. But, you know, it's not, well, we can see the 3D. It's going to put it in a wireframe is actually what I'm thinking of in my head here. Another thing that I always like to pay attention to is how my view cube is oriented, right? So if I go here, this orients it the way my drawing is, right? So I make sure that when I'm creating this, that I have it kind of set up the right way. And if it's not, don't worry about it. You can always come back and rotate it and do things of that nature. All right. In order to use some of those rotates, especially like the gizmos, we have to get out of the 2D wireframe. So I'm just going to jump over to the regular wireframe here at the bottom. And that will allow me to use gizmos, right? So if I select here, you're going to see these gizmos come up. You can also use the space button. And that should be the one that cycles me through it. Let's see, I come here. And I should be able to cycle through. It's almost like I can't remember. I'll figure it out here in a second. Oh, there we go. I can right click on it and then it'll give me the gizmos that I want to use. Okay. Anyway, let's go ahead and select here, this polyline here. And then remember, we haven't changed our ribbon at the top, so we have to type in the extrude command. So it's just EXT, enter. I'm going to come down. You can kind of see I got a preview of it. That distance that I need to go down is going to be 20. All right. Then we're going to go back to the extrude command. You can hit the enter button and it'll take you back to the last command used. I'm just going to put a window around these 4 objects here at the top and then these 2 over here. Go ahead and hit enter. This time I want to send these up a distance of 10. All right. Next, we got to go through kind of some steps here. We need to go ahead and do some union first. So UNI, and it should come up as union. I'm going to select the objects I want to join together. So I want to go here. Then I want to select just my big cylinders, right? And hit enter. If I've done it correctly, this line should go away, which it did at the bottom. Now we're going to use the subtract, right? So let's go ahead and start spelling subtract. We'll select subtract. Remember, we're going to select the object I want to keep first. Go ahead and hit enter. And then select the objects that I want to subtract, which is going to be my smaller cylinders here. Okay. Now, if you refer back to the drawings, these actually go all the way through, right? There is a command that's called press pull, or is it called pull press? I can't remember, but I'll start spelling it and see what I come up with. And you can see when I start spelling the word pull, it says, hey, the closest command to that is going to be press pull, and I'm going to use that one. And the way press pull works is, let me zoom in here. You see I have that bottom portion highlighted. I'm just going to do a left click there, and then I'm just going to drag it through. And what it's going to do is it's going to create that cylinder and send it all the way through. I'll do the same on this one. Go all the way through. And then finally here, send it all the way through. Okay? That's one way you can kind of get all of those cylinders to go through without having to, recreate those and then do another subtraction. Now we want to use our rotate gizmo and move this up. So I'm going to select it here. I'm going to right click on this gizmo here. I'll switch it to the rotate. Select this red axis here, and I just want to stand it up, right? So I'm going straight up from that and do a left click. Let's escape from here. Then we're going to go to move. I'm just going to use a regular move, so I'll select it here, M, enter. I'll select that midpoint and place it on that midpoint. Okay? We're going to go back to the extrude command, so EXT. I'm going to select both of these objects, and I'm going to send them this direction, a distance of 70. All right, now we're going to go ahead and join these together, right? So remember the command for that is going to be union. I'm going to select the 2 objects that I want to union together. And then I'm going to go and use the subtract command. So subtract, select the object I want to keep first, enter, then select the circle. All right, now I need to go ahead and put a fillet on here. There is a command that you can use for fillet in 3D. And if I'm not mistaken, it's just called fillet edge. You can also use the regular fillet. AutoCAD is smart enough to understand that if you use the regular fillet, it will work. So what I mean by that, if I just go to F, enter, go ahead and select my radius, which I'm going to tell it that I want it to be 5. And then it's going to say, hey, give me an object here. I'm just going to select that line there, hit enter. And then it's going to ask me again to select the edge, which is kind of weird, but I'll select it again. Go ahead and hit enter, and you're going to see that it will indeed fillet that edge for me. So if you don't use the fillet edge command, this is another option that you can use. But if you want to use the fillet edge, it works exactly the same almost, right? So we can go to radius and tell it that we need it to be 5, and then I'll go over here and I'll select the edge. Okay. So now if I kind of rotate around this, I can kind of see this 3-dimensional shape. And this should be all that we need for this one. This is a really simple part. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at that in maybe something like shades of gray or something of that nature. And then you can kind of see the 3D portion of this really show up, right? We can kind of orbit around this thing and kind of look on the inside just to make sure our holes are going through and all the fun stuff that we need to see on this. Everything looks good. Let's go ahead and put this back in my, I think it's called southeast isometric. All right. Next, let's go ahead and jump over and start creating the drawing of this, right? So we're going to switch to the Layout tab. Now, I'm not going to insert any kind of title block or anything of that nature. I'm just going to make one super quick for us. All right? So what I'm going to do is go ahead and delete this viewport. There's no need to have it. I'll create a rectangle. So REC, enter. I'm just going to type in from 0, 0, enter. 11, 8.5, enter. Then I'll use the offset command, put in 0.25, go ahead and hit enter. Then I'm just going to offset this to the inside. All right. Next, let's go ahead and kind of fix our paper to make it match our border here. I'm just going to do a right click on Layout 1, go to Page Setup Manager, and you've probably seen me do this a lot. I'll just go to Modify. Once it comes up, it's going to be DWG to PDF. And let's see, where is that at? That's going to be here. I always like to use a ANSI full bleed A size 11 by 8.5. We're going to set this to the extents. We'll go ahead and center this. We're going to leave this at 1 to 1. And just in case we do want to print this, I'll go ahead and set this to monochrome. And then hit OK. And then close. Now you see we should have everything the way we want it. Just going to jump here to the Layout tab. I'll go to the base, and from the drop down I'm going to select here where it says from model space. Alright, so what it should be giving me right now is the front, because that's what I have located here. So if I want to start off here and say that this is the front, I'll go ahead and select here, hit enter, then I'll go ahead and place the top view, the right side view, and the isometric view. Then I usually like to do a right click and hit enter, and then it should create them all, right? Alright, so next we're going to go ahead and start playing with the size of this, right? So we're going to select this one because this was the first one that I created, and you can change the size of this just by this drop down, okay? So you can start playing with that relatively easy, and you don't have to open up anything. So if I want to make this a little bit bigger, let's see what a quarter looks like, and so that's a little bit too big. Let's go ahead and make it 3/16. That looks just about right for what I need. All right. So you will see that the first one controls the view. Now with our isometric, we can choose to keep this the same size, or we can do something different, right? You'll see that when I come here and I select from the drop down, it says, hey, do you want to keep this from the parent, or do you want this to be something totally different? So I can, play with this a little bit and say, hey, if I want to make that a little bit bigger, I can do that. Or if I want to make this a little bit smaller, we can do that as well. All right. But since it's just our isometric and it does fit in here quite well, I will leave it here, but I will go ahead and edit this view. Now we're going to start talking about some of these other options that we do have in here. Let me zoom into this a little bit so you can see it a lot better. So I'm going to change this to make it visible edges. So now you can see all of these visible edges, but you can see that these tangential lines is what's showing up here. So you can see that there's a line here. In reality, it wouldn't be there. It's a nice smooth edge there. So if I come to where it says edge visibility and I take those off, you're going to see that it will get rid of them. But you can also see that it knocks out that radius that's going on here, right? So you can choose if you want to have that on there or not. I can go ahead and turn these back on, these individual edges. And then if I want to kind of shorten these lines a little bit, you do have something that you can use foreshadowing. And you can see that now it's going to kind of shorten them out a little bit. It kind of gives it a little bit different appearance, but you can see that that's more or less of a smooth edge or a tangential edge, but it's not going all the way to it. So all of this stuff is just mainly on how you want your 3D model to look, right? If you're happy with the way it looks like that, by all means, you can hit the OK button and you can leave it like that. And let's just go ahead and move this up here to the top. Let's go ahead and turn my ortho off and go ahead and place it somewhere up here. All right. Next, I can come down to here. And once again, I have that option to kind of play with this. And this is the first view, but you have to do each one of these views independently, right? So I can either choose all of them this way, and then I can kind of, try to fix them. But I think if I'm not mistaken, it does make you do them individually. So if I want to change the edges of this one and say, hey, put those tangential edges back on, you're going to see that now I'm getting these extra lines that are popping up here. So remember that anytime you're making your 2D drawings, you don't really want to put those edges on because it will complicate things and, make it that much, different. But one thing I do wish is that I can get rid of like this little extra part here. Now in this top view, you might want to leave those edges on. That's totally up to you, especially since it'll kind of complete this look for me. But once again, it's going to be your opinion if you want to put those lines on here or not. There's no kind of rule to say, hey, have them on there or have them not. You can take a look at the bottom drawing here and you can see that it does explain a little bit more of what's going on. All right, now let's go ahead and start working on our center lines, center marks, and all of that stuff. So I'm just going to jump to the annotative tab. And then I'll go ahead and put the center marks on. The center marks are going to be a lot easier to deal with. So I'll go to center marks, and then I'm just going to start selecting my circles here. And then I have one that's here at the bottom. All right, so super duper easy. Next, let's go ahead and do our center lines. With my center lines, I will use the bisecting option here. So I'm just going to select both of those. Hit the enter button, and I'll come here. And you can see that shows up as a line. Just going to keep going. Now I'm purposely leaving this one off. Let's go ahead and hit the escape button, mainly because what I usually like to do is I'll select this, and then I'll select this square here, and I'll place it along there just to keep everything consistent, and I don't have any double lines showing up there. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at here, and then we're going to go ahead and put these center lines that are located along here as well. And we got one more to do. Okay, so with the ones that are not showing that extra line in the middle there, what I usually like to do is I'll select one of them, do a right click on them, go to the properties, and what I usually play with is the line type scale here, right? So this number needs to be smaller, all right? So I'm going to start off, and I usually try to start off like 0.75. If it's not giving me anything from that, then what I'll do is I'll come and kind of go down another 1/16 of an inch, so 0.625. And it does appear. I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and close this. And now there is a command called match properties, or it's located here on the home, and it's called match properties, right? Remember with match properties, it says select the source first, which is going to be here, and then select all the lines that you want it to look like, right? To look like that. So I'm just going to select that one here. I'll come over. I'll do this one, and then this one. Okay. So therefore, all of our lines are done, or our center marks are done. Next, let's go ahead and do our dimensioning. And I see this video is kind of getting long. I'm trying to keep it under, 30 minutes. So let's see if I can, try to pull this off as best as I can. So I'll just go to de-enter. Once this appears, I'll go to the modify. And I'll start over here at the alternate units. So I'm going to select here. We will activate the alternate units, and sometimes you might want to show these. This drawing was drawn in millimeters, so I'm going to have to convert it from millimeters to inches. All right. I'm going to put the value below it. So I got it underneath it. Next, I'm going to adjust this, right? I wish I can put in 1 divided by 25.4, but it doesn't work that way here. So I have to put in 10 divided by 25.4. 25.4. It's the exact same thing. It's just some math numbers that we're playing with, right? But once I do that, now I'll jump over to the primary units. Everything should work fine at that one. Oh, let me go back to the alternate units. I forgot to take a look at the suppression. Do I want to show those leading zeros? No, I don't want to show them. So I'm going to suppress those. And then with the trailing zeros, if there is one, we do want to show it since we only have 2 decimal places. So go ahead and leave it like this. Let's go ahead and take a look at our primary units. Now, our primary units are all whole numbers, right? So we can go ahead and suppress the leading, and then we can also suppress the trailing on this one. And this will actually satisfy everything that we need, since we did this drawing with everything in whole numbers, and we have, very few decimals. But any trailing zeros, it's going to automatically get rid of it for us. Underneath the Fit tab, there's nothing that we need to do here. We're working in paper space, so leave this set to 1. Underneath the text here, I will adjust something here. I'll adjust 2 things, right? I tend to like my text height 0.125. And what I'll also do is that I tend to like the spacing between my numbers to be a little bit tighter than that. So I usually put it at 0.03. And you're going to see that this now gets a lot closer. And that's what I like to see with my stack dimensions, that they are a lot closer. Okay, underneath the symbols and arrows tab here, I just go ahead and adjust this back to none. And I think that that should be everything that we need to deal with. In the lines, we don't have to worry about anything there. And we'll go to OK and hit close. All right. The rest of this should be just kind of straightforward dimensioning. If you've seen me do any kind of dimensioning on any other drawings before, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Remember the shortcuts for it. D, and then I want to do a diameter, right? So D stands for dimension, and DI is the diameter, right? The first two letters of diameter. So I'll just go ahead and do that. I'll place it here. And then we'll put the other one here. So I'm just going to hit the enter button and I'll go ahead and place it here. Let's do my linear dimensions, so DLI. And I'll kind of go through this kind of quickly. It's no secrets of doing dimensioning. You can see all the dimensioning up here and you can choose whatever you want. I choose to type it in sometimes, so you'll always see me use like DLI, DRA, and things of that nature, which just kind of speeds up things. All right. Now I will do some other kind of selecting here, depending on which way you want your dimension to fall, right? So this dimension here, I want to be at the bottom. So therefore, when I do my linear dimension, I'm going to select here first, and then it's going to go to the last point that I picked. So therefore, you're going to see that that will adjust to the bottom as opposed to the top. Okay, it's just one of those things that's going to speed up your keystroke there. Let's go ahead and take a look at a dim radius. Once again, don't worry about if it does have that little piece here sticking out. There is a way where you can kind of do it. Now, you've seen that I rolled it through, but if you get far away from it, it's going to have that extension. Like I said, don't worry. I will show you how to get rid of that. Okay, let's continue. And we're going to go ahead and put another diameter dimension here. DRA, like I said before, is for our radius dimensions. We'll go ahead and place one here. DLI, dim linear. So I'm just kind of cruising through these a lot. Once again, let's go ahead and knock out some more linear dimensions here. Just going to hit the enter button. That should take me to here. I want this dimension here to be kind of at the, let's make this one at the top. So I'll start here at this end point and go here. And that'll place my dimension along the top. And for the other one at the bottom, I'll start here and come down this way. You know what? Let's change that. And I'm going to put that dimension. Might be kind of hard to see over here because I really can't dimension to a hidden line. Yeah, I'm kind of stuck with placing it here. I don't like it, but yeah, let's place it there. I think it looks a little neater there. And then we have a couple more dimensions here, right? So put a linear dimension here. Okay. Now these two dimensions here are going to be our reference dimensions. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to right click. I'll go to the properties on this one. I'm going to scroll down to when I find primary units. I'll put a open parentheses here. And then we're going to put a close parentheses in front of that option there. And we'll scroll down to our alternate units. And we do have a prefix and a suffix for that one. So open parentheses here. And then close that parentheses there. And then like we did before, we're going to jump to match properties. I'm going to select here, and then I'll go to here. All right. Next, I'll come over to this dimension here. I'm going to select it. Once again, take a look at the properties of this one. And this is what I was referring to before. You can see that this is going on here at the bottom, but I can just simply go ahead and turn the extension off, and then it will make it go down to there. Okay. Last thing we need to do is add some text to a couple of these dimensions, and we should be done. So I'm just going to select here. And what I usually like to do is hit the N button on my keyboard a couple of times. Then hit enter. Now I can type in 2 places. Some people will put typical or things of that nature. I tend to like to count it. It makes it a lot more accurate. I'm going to do the exact same thing here. So hit the N button that's on your keyboard twice. Then I'll go to 3 places, click off, and then one more click on this one. Exact same thing. Hit the N button twice, enter, 3 places. Alright, once I click off of that, I'll hit the escape button. Let's go ahead and close our properties window here. Go ahead and take a quick look at the drawing. And I think we like it, and it looks like we should be done with it. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it. Oh, see, something always drives me crazy, especially when I'm trying to wrap this up here at the end. Kind of one of those things that you kind of look at and go like, I don't want that to look like that. But anyway, I want to thank you for tuning in and watching this and staying with the channel, and hopefully you get something out of this. If you do like this kind of content, please go ahead and like and subscribe and share it with anybody else that needs some AutoCAD tips or Inventor or even SolidWorks. So, as always, thank you for watching and keep drafting, and I will see you in the next video.